Some of the reviewers of Captain Marvel are lying. There's no easy way to put it. 90 out of 100, that is a lie. The film is not 90 out of 100. I thought the film would be absolutely terrible, and it was far, far, far better than I thought it would be. Is it 90 out of 100? No. Is it 50 out of 100? Maybe you could say that. Is it 10 out of 100? No, I think it's better than 10 out of 100. Before I look at some of these comments in a little bit more detail, one thing most of the reviews agree on is the cat. The cat is great, the cat is fantastic, the cat is the best thing in the film. So let's have a look. Here is the actual cat.
Aren't you the cutest little thing? Aren't you cute? And what's your name, huh?
Gary.
What's you? I'll be back.
Okay, so that is the cat. That is a fair representation of what goes on. Nick Fury falls in love with the cat. That's where he first sees the cat. The cat is wandering around a military-industrial secret base, which makes absolutely no sense at all. It is explained sort of later on that the cat is the pet of one of the scientists that's now dead, but why it would be roaming around this seemingly high-security facility makes no sense. Nick Fury's just a cat guy. I don't know why he would be a cat guy. But that's what happens on quite a few occasions. He just has this little connection with the cat where he goes kitty, 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 and that's it there. I thought it was terrible, but there were a lot of cat ladies in the screening I saw. They were audible. They were like, "Oh, look at the kitty!" And I mean, you shouldn't shout out things. Well, not shout out, but you shouldn't be loud in the cinema, I think. But there was a big response for the cat. The cat was very popular amongst what sounded to me to be the female voices in the crowd. They liked the cat when the cat was back on. Like, "Oh, kitty!" So it got a really big response. Is it the best thing in the film? I think it might be the second best thing in the film. Okay, I think that Ben Mendelsohn is the best thing in the film. He plays one of the Green Skrull guys. His performance and the writing for him, I think, is the best thing in the film. The cat, maybe it's the second best thing in the film, and I think the cat shouldn't be in the film. Now, saying that, I don't think they should cut the cat out of the film because you can't cut out something that's better than the rest of the film. So, as bad as I think it is to shoehorn in this love affection for Nick Fury for a cat, just to pander to cat people, it works. The film is geared towards cat people. The film is geared towards 30 to 50-year-olds, or maybe 35 to 45-year-old white female cat lovers. That is where the nods and winks are to. People that were alive in the 90s, females particularly, and I'd say white females, and if you like cats. If you don't like cats, you won't like that scene or those scenes. And as is stated over and over again, that's the best or some of the best stuff in the film. So if you don't like some of the best stuff in the film, yeah, the film's going to suffer in your opinion as to how good the film is if you don't like the parts that people say these are the best parts. So I disagree. It's the best thing in the film. I think it's the second best thing in the film, and I think that's what's wrong with the film because I didn't like that. If you're a cat person, you know, maybe you'll like the film, but the film is not about the cat. The cat's in it a very small amount of time. If you like the cats, you're not someone that's come to see a superhero film. There's cat videos on the internet that are more amusing than what you just saw, but that's a fair representation. That is the best scene between Nick Fury and the cat. There are other scenes very similar, but that is exactly what the reviewers are talking about when they say, "Oh, the cat is great." That's it. That's the cat. Now, there are some funnier scenes later on with the cat where it's revealed the cat's actually an alien and it has tentacles that come out of its mouth and it can just eat people. And I laughed at those parts, and all of the audience laughed at the parts. But for 90% of the film where the cat's in it, that is the cat scene. That's what they're talking about. The chemistry between the cat and Nick Fury is better than the chemistry of Nick Fury and Captain Marvel. Okay, the cat steals the show. The cat is a better buddy to Nick Fury. The film could be a Nick Fury / cat cop buddy film. It could be one way you could look at it because those are the better parts of the film. But the chemistry between Captain Marvel and Nick Fury, not as good as between the cat and Nick Fury. I think all the reviews agree on that, but they don't really want to state it that way. They just say the cat is great. The cat is better. The cat is better than what else is on offer, and that's what's wrong with this film. The summary for the Verge article here states, "It rises to the occasion with strong performances and with its director's willingness to slow down and take this story seriously, balancing humor, action, exposition in a carefully calibrated package. So it says it slows down. Yeah, there are some parts of the story that get quite boring. It's difficult to really pinpoint why they're boring, but it just drags. It has a feeling that the film is too long. It doesn't have a feeling that too much was packed in, just there's parts where not much is happening. It says it balances humor, action, exposition. There are funny parts in the film. The action isn't great. It's very noticeable that Brie Larson does none of the action at all. This is common with a lot of films, though, not a specific criticism towards her. But, you see the back of her head. It's clearly a double. There's some CGI in there. It looks a bit poor, for jumping around and moving. And it's just obvious that it wasn't Brie Larson in a way that I thought was extremely obvious, but most moviegoers probably don't notice at all. The Los Angeles Times summary says, watching Danvers' story play out, complete with boggling plot twists and a scene-stealing friendly feline. So, yeah, that seems sort of saying the feline was good. I don't know what he's talking about with boggling plot twist. There is a plot twist that's quite good. It is not boggling. I don't know what he's talking about there. It's hugely entertaining. It's not. It's mildly entertaining, maybe. It's not hugely entertaining. And it can't be overemphasized how central Larson, about to become the most recognized woman on the planet, is to the Enterprise. Yeah, she's the star of the film. She is central, and it's a problem. It's a big problem. It's one of the reasons why the film isn't good, because the cat's better than her. The cat and Samuel Jackson are better than she is, and she's the central figure in the film. So, yeah, that's a problem. You can't give that a 90 with that summary, with what was said there. I don't really disagree with what he's saying. But 90, no, I'm sorry, she is central to the film. That's the problem. And the Variety article here, which also gives it a 90. Bowden and Fleck, that's the sort of writers/editors/directors I found out, are low-key American neorealists, and in Captain Marvel they barely retain a vestige of their signature style. So I don't know what their actual style is, but they've never made any kind of film that's made real money before, so they're obviously very small independent movie makers. I think it shows here. I don't think the direction in the film is very good, particularly the direction of what Brie Larson's given. It may be that Brie Larson, this is as good a performance as she could give. I don't think so. I think she probably gave them what they wanted, or at the very least, they edited it to use the versions that they wanted. I find it hard to believe that Brie Larson is an actor of the caliber that is shown in this film. As much as people might want to hate on her, I think that the writing and the direction make Captain Marvel the way Captain Marvel appears in the film. I don't think the actress is at fault for what you see on the screen. It goes on to say, yeah, they have brought off something exciting, embracing the Marvel house style, and within that, crafting a tale with enough tricks and moods and sleight of hand layers to keep us honestly absorbed. I wasn't remotely absorbed, so if you were absorbed by the story, maybe you could crank up your score from like a 30 or a 40 or a 50, but 90 is ridiculous. This person, Owen Gleiberman, he's a liar. He's a fraud. The film is not 90. It's just ridiculous. I'd like to know, what other films is he rated higher than 90? Like, is he saying this is the best film ever made? Is Captain Marvel, in Owen Gleiberman's opinion, the best film ever made? It's 90? Come on. And the last one here, I'll read through from the Wrap from April Wolf. Captain Marvel, the first Marvel adaptation both to star a woman and to be co-directed by a woman, is an obvious, crude, and transparent film, and it's also quite enjoyable and evocative. So, and most of the time. What she says in there is kind of close to what I felt in her article. She has a fair bit of criticism about the pandering and pretending that the film's a pro-girl power film. It's in there a bit, but it's really not. You need to really squint hard and hope that it's a girl power film to go, yeah, girl power. And she gave it an 89. So come on, I don't care how good a film is. If that is your summary, it's not an 89. How can you say that it's obvious, crude, and transparent, and it gets an 89 out of 100? That is a complete joke. The Los Angeles Times article goes through a fair bit of detail. I'm going to read out some of this and maybe come up with some rebuttals, come up with some truth. Part of it starts off with a luminous and powerful Brie Larson starring as a woman with a knockout punch that would have daunted Muhammad Ali. This news is not that this pre-sold property about a superhero coming into her own will sell a ton of tickets. It's that it's actually good. So nothing is basically said there. It's a little bit of a brag about how it's got a lot of pre-sold tickets. I don't think that means much. I think Solo had a massive amount of pre-sold tickets. So I'm not sure pre-sold tickets have anything to do with it at all, particularly since people bought them before there are any reviews out of the actual film. And she has a knockout punch that would have daunted Muhammad Ali. Yeah, she's a superhero. So the start of it doesn't say anything other than the film is actually good. It's not. The film is not good. Like, if you want to point out a few things and say there's a lot of flaws, if you overlook that, the film's good, maybe you can make that argument. I don't think so. I don't think it's good. I think anyone saying it's better than good is completely lying. I mean, I think if someone says the film's good, they're lying. But this person has given it a 90. He's used the word, it's actually good. That's not a 90. You need to say that the film is superb, the film is excellent. Actually good doesn't mean 90. It doesn't say it's good, it's actually good. It sounds like it was better than he thought, which is what I did think about the film. The film is actually not terrible. It is far better than I thought the film would be. It's actually good. It's not actually good, but again, 90 out of 100, the film is actually good. No. For this, we have to thank not only Larson, who absolutely nails the character, as well as co-stars including Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Annette Bening, and Jude Law, but also directors and co-writers Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. I agree with the Ben Mendelsohn part. Samuel L. Jackson is fine in the film. He's a better part of the film. He doesn't in any way act like the Nick Fury we know. He's 25 years younger than the Nick Fury we know, so perhaps that's fine. But it's like a completely different character, so it's good. Samuel L. Jackson is good in this, or I do think he's good, but to be safe, he's better. Okay, he's better than most of the things in the film. Samuel L. Jackson is a lot better than everything else going on in this film. And it's just a general Samuel Jackson portrayal. If you don't like Samuel Jackson at all, well, you obviously don't like him in anything. But he's not got, I would say, a large range of acting ability. I think he's excellent in what he gets cast to do. He gets cast to play Samuel L. Jackson, and he's really good at being Samuel L. Jackson. He does it in this film very, very, very well. But the character is not the Nick Fury that we know. Again, maybe that's fine because it's a 25-year younger Nick Fury, but it's not anything, he's comedic relief. You've seen how he interacted with the cat, okay? That's what he's doing for some of this film. He's being a bit comedic. He's a little bit more bumbling, and obviously he doesn't know anything about aliens until this point, so he's a bit naive, but he gets on it straight away, and he's sort of a part of his future Nick Fury. But the starter for here said, for this we have to thank not only Larson. So the scenes that Larson has in the trailer, I think, are the best scenes from her in the film. So, which is obviously what they should do in the trailer, put the film in the best light they can. So here is some of Larson, and this is a fair representation of, obviously it's taken directly from the film, and these are the absolute better scenes that she's in.
Prove you're not a scroll.
That's a photon blast.
And?
A scroll cannot do that.
I'm just supposed to take your word for that. And you're a Kree, a race of noble warriors.
Heroes. Noble warrior heroes.
You know how to fly this thing?
We'll see.
That's a yes or no question.
Yes.
So those scenes, I think, are a fair representation of the best work that she does there, and that's the back and forth between her and Fury. Fury comes off better than she does. She just doesn't really do anything. She has a few lines that try to be snarky or sarcastic. She maybe moves an eyebrow here or there. There is no emotion. She's barely registering as human in most of the scenes. There is a little bit of a half smile in the scene where she says she's a hero or whatever she says. So she's not completely emotionless, but it's fairly bland her performance again. I don't think it's because she can't act. It's probably this is what they wanted. This, she's a strong female. She's not allowed to have emotions. That's probably what they went for, and they nailed that 100%. They hit all, basically all her emotions. She is androgynous automaton. If that is what the character is supposed to be, they have faithfully recreated an androgynous automaton. Okay, back to the article. But Marvel has come to recognize, as this film proves, that it doesn't prove that even effects-heavy behemoths can benefit from a directing touch that is human, not programmatic, that understands characters and nuance and can create scenes with an emotional heft that we might not expect. I'm not sure where they mean that there is a quote-unquote emotional scene where she remembers her old friend that used to fly F-15s with her, and they kind of hug, and they're like, oh wow, you were my friend. She looks like she nearly tears up, but they don't allow that to happen. There is no emotion from Captain Marvel. There's a bit of emotion from her friend, but when it says here that it's nuanced, yeah, it's an eyebrow raise. If that's what you're looking for in a superhero film for emotion, yes, the emotion from Captain Marvel is nuanced. That is excellent weasel words. I agree with that. It is nuanced. Everything about Brie Larson is nuanced in this film. Okay, then says, as co-writers with Gina Robertson Duarte, bracketed with story credits to the trio and Nicole Perlman and Meg Laflouvre, the directors also had a hand in Captain Marvel's narrative arc, which is far more complex than business-as-usual superhero origin stories. She has amnesia and she recovers her memories, and she discovers that she was fighting with the bad guys, and she switches teams. That might be more complex than business as usual. It's not complex though, so yeah, it is maybe a better story than a lot of superhero stories. That could be true. But the co-writer here, it mentions Geneva Robertson Duarte, looked up to see what she'd done before. The only credit she had is she wrote Tomb Raider. So I don't know anyone that would say Tomb Raider was a good film and it was written well. So this is who they brought on, and I think it shows. And as it mentions here, they got in 2 more females to help with the story. So everyone associated behind the scenes is female except half of the directors. I don't know why they couldn't just go with a full-on female director. I'm sure that's what they wanted, to go, look at the girl power, look, we got women directing. But I guess the best they could do was a duo with a man and a female. I don't know how that comes off for the social justice warriors, if it seems like they're saying, oh, a woman's not good enough to do it on her own, she has to have this man looking over her shoulder, or how do they interpret that? I don't know. But I think the story is not the story. I think the characters are written okay for most of them, but not Captain Marvel. There's something wrong with Captain Marvel in this film. The film is called Captain Marvel. You can't give a film a 90 out of 100 with this Captain Marvel starring in the film. It goes on. Beyond involving us in non-stop plot and events, Captain Marvel manages to work in themes both obvious, the empowerment of women, and the not-so-expected, the plight of refugees, the shared humanity of people perceived as the other. There is some attempt to try to show that this is a female empowerment film. I think it fails on that front, but yes, it has a female in the film, and if you want to say simply having a female in the film is female empowerment, that's fine. But the overall message is only really at the start of the film. It uses the footage that you would have seen from the trailers where she is told, you're a woman, you can't do this, and that she falls down. That's it. That's in flashbacks in her memory. It's not really overt in the rest of the film. So the empowerment of women is something I know they want to push, probably more as a marketing tool and to get women involved in actually buying tickets. I don't think it's really there that much. And it's also difficult to call Brie Larson in this film a woman. I don't know what they're actually basing that on, because she's not allowed to have any feminine qualities at all. In fact, no one in the film is. The film is really more a covert war on femininity, I would say, rather than a war on masculinity. So she's trying to be as masculine as possible to show that she can also be masculine with all of the men in the film that are masculine. So it really is it's a showcase to show that masculinity is superior, which is not empowering for women. It's basically saying If you're a woman and you want to succeed, you have to be a man, you have to look like a man, you have to act like a man, you have to have a blank face and not show any emotions, you have to be tough, you have to kill a lot of people. You have to be a man to succeed. That's what the film is saying, and it may be saying that, well, women can do that too. That's maybe the empowerment of women, but it's really the destruction of femininity, I think, is the more subtle part of the film, which I don't think any of the females in writing want. But saying that, they're probably third wave feminists, which basically is all about the destruction of femininity. So maybe that is actually the goal, but I don't know if anyone's really pointing that out. I think the main thing is, oh, it's girl power, it's good for women, it's pro-women, and there's more subtle, oh, and we'll tell men how to act, and we'll put men in their place. But no, I think it's more femininity is not allowed to be on the screen. We cannot have anyone that looks female. We cannot have anyone that looks sexually attractive. We cannot have any love interests. We can't put makeup on, or barely any makeup. We can't have anyone in a dress. We can't put someone in high heels. Any kind of half stereotypical version of a female is not in this film at all. Her friend wears a suit that would make Rose from Star Wars proud. It's just a lumpy bag that, it's just there. Yeah, the attack on femininity, I think, is the real subtle message here, not pro-women, but maybe that's the same message. Maybe pro-women is the destruction of femininity. And on with the article, though it sounds schematic to lay everything out that way, it's the grace of Captain Marvel to make everything it does feel so organic, and that includes the film's surprisingly funny moments and situations. I agree that there were some funny parts. That we don't realise we're absorbing lessons until they're already penetrated our defences. So this guy's basically saying this is a propaganda piece. We don't realise we're absorbing lessons until they're already penetrated our defences. What are the lessons he's already said? The plight of refugees and the empowerment of women. So in this writer's opinion, he thinks this is propaganda. I think that is basically the textbook definition of propaganda. A woman does not know who she is, neither do we. As she gradually finds out her history, the audience is in lockstep with her. I wasn't, so, maybe if you are, you can give the film a 90 out of 100. Since her story is quite an elaborate one, it is unsettling at first. It is not elaborate. I have no idea what he's talking about. She's lost her memories, and basically her life's been saved by the Kree, because she absorbed a whole pile of power basically from the Tesseract. So the Tesseract is used to make a lightspeed engine. She shoots the lightspeed engine, it blows up, and she absorbs the power instead of being disintegrated for whatever reason. And the Kree rescue her, give her some Kree blood, and basically say, you're one of us, help us, in our battle against the Skrulls. Now, why exactly they want to rescue her is a little bit vague. It may be because they want to recover her memories and find out where the Tesseract is and this lightspeed device, this laboratory. Or it might be that they want to keep her on her side because she has ridiculous powers. It's not exactly told if they want to keep her around all the time and just have her brainwashed, but that's the story. And she gets her memory back and goes, oh, you guys are the bad guys, and she joins the other people. That's not an elaborate story. It's a good story, I don't mind it, but it's unsettling at first. I don't know, but can you call a story that's elaborate and unsettling at first 90 out of 100? And it goes on. After a dream in which she finds herself injured and facing death, the woman wakes up on the planet Hala, home to the Kree civilization, a race that views themselves as noble warriors. The woman's name is Vers, and this is Captain Marvel, and she is a member of the elite Kree intergalactic fighting group called Staphos, and her mentor and commander is the demanding Yon-Rogg, or Jude Law. Even amongst the Kree, Vers has a particularly impressive weapon, the ability to deliver devastating photon blasts from either hand, and Yon-Krogg, or Jude Law, is always on a case not to get too emotional in battle. Anger, he says, only serves the enemy. So this is a part that I've seen in a few of the articles, kind of blowing it up and trying to start some sort of mansplaining sexist trope. Jude Law keeps saying that anger, you're too emotional, it only serves the enemy. There was another one I read somewhere saying that it happens over and over and over again, it becomes a laughing stock. It doesn't happen over and over and over again. what basically happens for this scene is she wakes up from her nightmare of dreaming about her past memories, and in the middle of the night she goes and wakes up her commanding officer, Jude Law. He gets up and she basically says, I can't sleep. He says, why don't you take a tab for that, or whatever they call it, a tablet, but they have some other name for it. And she says, oh, because that would put me back to sleep. And she says, do you want to spar? And so he, in the middle of the night, just woken up by her, decides to go and do some sparring practice of hand-to-hand combat. So this is this bad mansplaining evil guy that says your emotions are the enemy. She's just woke him up, okay? She's woke him up in the middle of the night, and he's went, okay, I'll help you out, and let's do a bit of sparring. And when he beats her down onto the ground or whatever, he hits her and she falls over, her hands light up. She's about to use her power, which it says she has devastating photon blasts. I mean, she can blow holes in buildings and through stuff, and this is when her power is limited in the film. So essentially he says, you know, control your emotions, because it would be the best for it to do it, but he doesn't want to get murdered. Okay, she's got this power that can destroy buildings, and she's looking like she's a bit frustrated because he just defeated her in hand-to-hand combat. And he's saying, control your emotions, because you're going to punch a hole in the building, or you're going to punch a hole in me. So the way it's explained in a lot of these reviews that he's mansplaining, he's telling a woman what to do. It's such a ridiculous twist. You have to be looking through such a cucked feminist view to go, oh my god, this is what this scene was. No, she woke him up in the middle of the night and he helped her out. He's helping her. I mean, imagine if he woke her up in the middle of the night and he's like, hey, you want to spar? And she's like, what? I need my sleep. What? What? And if she gave in and did it, oh, this is just showing that women have to do what men say to do. I mean, it's ridiculous. And it goes on. Not only did Larson train for 9 months to get her strength to where it needed to be, I don't know what they mean by that. I know she made a big song and dance about doing a lot of training. She said she pushed a Jeep up a hill. She is not doing any of the action scenes. It's clear she's not doing the action scenes. She might run a little bit, not really much. I don't know why she would have to do any training to portray what she's doing here. And her body isn't in any kind of shape that you can tell. She has a thick rubbery suit on most of the time, and then she's got a kind of grungy t-shirt and jacket and jeans on for the rest. So there is no evidence that she had to have a body that looked like she was a superhero for this film. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe the training failed and they covered it up with this rubbery suit. But I doubt it. The suit was probably planned for a long time. I don't know why she had to train for 9 months, as it says here, and I don't know why the article would even pretend that was a big thing. It goes on. She seemed to embody her character completely, bringing her hopes of spirit and her lively insouciance to life. I had to look up that word there. It just means nonchalance. Yeah, this is her character. So she embodies her character completely. Okay, yeah, her character is blank. It is bland. It is sexless. It is androgynous. It is that there isn't a lot there, and if they want to say that she's nuanced and subtle, yeah, she moves an eyebrow here or there. She has a little look. So if that's what we're calling acting, if that's what we're calling embodying the hopes and her spirits, yes, she does do that. But it looks to me like she doesn't do much at all. I did say in my other first review that it looked to me like she was trying to basically be the Cyberdyne Models Systems 101. She was trying to rip off Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Terminator. Okay, and people don't criticize the Terminator for not smiling and having emotion. So why should you criticize a woman? The Terminator's a machine. He's not a human. So, but that was my impression. She was trying to be as emotionless as possible, probably because women have emotions and men don't. Or, that's the trope. So she has to be as man-like as possible. She's trying to do an impression of a man or an impression of a cyborg. That's what came off to me. It goes on. To see her realize that the things that make a human and a woman are her strengths, there's nothing that makes her a woman in this. She doesn't have any womanly affection for anyone. There's no bond between her and anyone else, really. She does have a bit of affection for her friend's daughter, So I don't think you could call it womanly. It's just this is her friend's daughter, and they're kind of friends. It's a friend relationship. But to say that, to see her realize that these things that make a human and a woman are her strength, it's not there. So if her strength are these things that I don't perceive are there, then yeah, I can see that's where the problem for the film is for me. Her strength was something I don't think existed, therefore her character has no strength. To see the joy she feels when she fully comes into her Captain Marvel powers is a genuine pleasure. She is all CGI'd by that point, and I think maybe she has a little yell when she first discovers she can fly after she plummets into the earth for the second time in the film, showing that she's completely invincible. She has a little fly around, and then her powers get absolutely ridiculous, and you know, Thanos should die within 3 or 4 seconds of the upcoming Avenger film, and then I assume maybe it'll just be a Captain Marvel 2 from that stage. It'll be showing off how good she is. That's maybe the direction they're going in. I don't know how Thanos can stand up to what she could do in this film. I stated before that maybe because she got her power from the Tesseract, and that's absorbed in Infinity Gauntlet or whatever the stone is in the Tesseract. I think it might be the Space Stone. Maybe that means he has power to stop her power. I don't know, but her power is ridiculous. And the rest of the Avengers don't need to exist. She can basically kill the Avengers, quote unquote, accidentally in her blast that destroys Thanos, and then she can reconstitute the Avenger team with some. Maybe she can keep Scarlett Johansson alive, and then she can reconstitute the Avenger team with her friend's daughter, who will now be 25 years older. She can get on the team. Maybe she can get the Wasp in there. And there must be some more females that she can get in the team, have an all-female cast. Although saying that, the Wasp is a bit hot to be in a feminist Avengers team, and obviously Scarlett Johansson's got no chance of of getting there. She'll probably have to put on some weight, maybe if she gets kind of plump. Maybe she'll be able to get in there, but it's going to be harder for her to get around. Her moves are all based on agility, so it might be difficult to believe you could have an agile Black Widow who's put on a bit of weight, but I don't know. I really hope that's not what's going to happen. But if things continue the way they're going, that's maybe what we're looking forward to. Fat Scarlett Johansson, and maybe also they'll probably have to introduce some older females. That's a demographic they're not really hitting. So maybe Annette Bening won't be dead. She plays Marvel in the film, which people that know that was originally a male character might not like, but yeah, she's kind of getting on a bit in age, so she would fit the let's say 50s plus female superhero. There's probably none of those, so that'll be a big deal if they bring her in. So yeah, if they can get a kind of, I don't know, a more obese superhero and an older superhero, that's probably what they'll need to do next, because now we've hit the milestone. That's it. Marvel's done it. They've got a female as a star in her own film. She'll probably be the leader of the Avengers from now on. That won't appease the social justice outrage. It'll be tick. We've got that tick box. Let's get the next one. We need a female Muslim hero, which may be her friend's daughter. Could cover that one as well. You can get a few check boxes done there. And then, yeah, we need an older one. We need an obese one. We need a disabled hero. You know, the list of all of the different ways you can categorize people is unlimited. So they'll need to check all those boxes. So there's no pleasing the intersectionalists or the social justice warriors, but that's what we'll go on. That's quite a tangential rant I went on there, but hopefully that's not the future. So anyway, this review here, it says a few things I think aren't quite correct, but basically it doesn't sound like a 90 to me. The words in this review aren't 90 out of 100. 90 out of 100 should be an exceptional film. This film is not exceptional. No one can credibly say it's exceptional. If you like cats, there is something in the film that you'll really like. That doesn't make a film. Okay, having a cat that makes people go, wow, that's the best thing in the film, and yeah, it might be the best thing in the film. I did say Ben Mendelsohn I think is the best, but whatever. Let's say the cat's the best thing in the film. That's not a film. Okay, it's not a film. You can't say it's 90 out of 100 when the best thing is a cat. The second article here I'll quickly go through is from The Wrap. It's the one that got 89% from April Wolf. Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck's take on the Carol Danvers origin story jettisons subtlety in its messaging of female empowerment and anti-imperialism to varying degrees of success. At times, the film has all of the makings of a wildly effective Nike commercial. You know the kind, girls falling down and getting up again, with standing jeers and taunts until you're weeping on your couch. But the two co-directors, working from a script they co-wrote with Geneva Robertson Duart, that was the Tomb Raider writer I mentioned earlier, have seemingly taken a tip from all that surrounds them in 2019 that renders subtlety obsolete and beats on some well-worn sexist tropes with a story that screams, "I guess you didn't hear us when we said we don't want to smile." I think that's 100% spot on. I don't know how she's going to pull out an 89 from that, but I'm with her. It's quite ridiculous. I think, though, it's not as overhanded as she's saying. It's not that bad. But, yes, this seems truthful, but how do you have an 89 out of 100 with that scathing section? Now, she mentions there about the whole, someone falling down and getting up again like a Nike commercial. That footage is in the trailers. It's essentially exactly the same in the film. Here it is here. And it's just playing on the whole, if you fall down, you need to get back up again. But it's literally showing it. This is the adversity she faces in the film. This is it. So there is no real thing. There is nothing she has to overcome. Oh my god, I can't believe she came back from that. Yeah, she was playing baseball and she got a bit of chin music. The ball got close to her and she fell over. And then you know what? She stood up and tried to take a swing again. That's what she did. So she's basically on par with, I would say, everybody that's ever tried to play any sport as a child. So she's done some sport. She was in a go-kart and she had a crash. And, she got back in the go-kart. She tried to jump from a rope to another rope. She fell down. And then she stood up again. It didn't actually show her get back on the rope to try the jump again. It just showed that she can actually stand up on her legs. She didn't break her legs after all of this quote-unquote trauma. There's another bit, I think it's in the playground, where she just falls in the sand. And, she stands up. So she's literally able to get on her feet like any kind of bipedal animal. I guess humans are really, and a couple of apes, I guess, are the only ones that can do that. So I guess that's kind of special. She's better than most mammals. She can actually balance on two legs. That's the ridiculous story. Oh my god, she can balance on two legs. Look at that adversity she's gotten through. So it seems to me like just, I don't know what you'd call it, the bigotry of low expectations. Like, women are so weak and pathetic that it's a big deal that they can walk on two legs. That's exaggerating, but that's sort of how it comes off to me. It's the expectations for what she has to go through are so low that the fact that she's actually able to breathe is astounding. It is empowering to women to show a woman that's able to breathe in oxygen and expel carbon dioxide. It's just amazing. Is that the message they're really going with? Again, she doesn't go through anything other than that. That's it. So she has flashbacks about how, oh my god, I was able to stand up after I fell off my legs. And then she's really powerful. She beats people up at the start. The only part I could say is slightly a character arc is Jude Law spars with her, as I mentioned earlier at the start, and shows that he is superior in hand-to-hand combat with her. He's training her up, saying nearly there, and he says, when you're good enough to defeat me hand-to-hand, then we'll unlock your full powers. So that is where the only time she actually gets defeated by anyone is that he defeated her in hand-to-hand combat. But at the end of the film, it doesn't then go, okay, I'm now going to not use my powers and defeat him in hand-to-hand combat, because they have a little fight at the end. She just zaps him with her powers. So there isn't any growth there. You can't even go, well, she's actually gotten better at hand-to-hand combat. I do think it would actually have been very cliched if that's what happened. I thought the film would have been worse if she actually did go, okay, I won't use my powers and I'll fight you. But it shows no character growth. And again, there's no adversity. She's strong. She blows stuff up. She cannot get hurt. She is not, she's invincible. There's no point where she really cares about anyone else. She does go back to help Samuel Jackson, so maybe you could say that. But Samuel Jackson wasn't on the verge of getting tortured or executed or anything. He just had some guys around him. So she goes back and kind of rescues Samuel Jackson. That's about it. There's a point where her friend's daughter is sort of held captive so the Skrulls can talk to her, and that's when the Skrulls convince her that, hey, we're actually refugees and you're on the side of a genocidal maniac. How about you help us instead of help wipe us out? But to do that, the Kree kind of take her friend's daughter hostage a little bit and say, hey, how about we talk and we won't hurt the girl? So she does sort of say, how about you let the girl go and then we'll talk? And she's not putting any kind of moral questions either. So although she is part of the the quote unquote bad guys at the start, it's not a case of she's ever thinking about something. Oh, should I do this? Should I do that? There's nothing there at all, either sort of morally. So she has no emotions. She has no adversity to get through. But people are building up that oh my god, look what she's come through. This is empowering for women. I mean, the main message here, if you want to believe it's empowering for women, is she fell down, she showed her legs still work, and then by virtue of doing something stupid and blowing up an engine next to her, she absorbed some power randomly, and now she's really powerful. Not to say that that's abnormal. Peter Parker got bitten by a random radioactive spider. So, same thing there. She blew up an engine and she's got power. But it's that she's, this is the empowering thing, that she's actually randomly got powers now and she's really strong now. What message does that say? If you don't do anything extra special, you might be endowed with power randomly. There was a scene at the, I don't know, endish middle of it when she's talking to her best friend and she gets her memories back. And the best friend says something like, this person with the powers is not, my friend that I know. She's like, the friend I knew already had all the power, or something to that effect. And it was like, well, you tell us that, but you never show us it. It is not shown, it is told. She's fantastic, and she was fantastic before she had power, but there is no evidence of ever seeing anything at all. It's just, we're told she's great, and she's now more great. And that's an inspiring story that someone is already awesome. And it goes on. Brie Larson is a perfect fit for Carol, who begins the film as Vers, a Kree soldier being trained by Jon Rog, Jude Law, to control her emotions to become a better fighter. The number of times Kree tells Vers... Kreese? Kreese is not his name. The number of times Kreese tells Vers to keep her emotions in check is so high that it becomes comical. It's not that high at all. And you'll find this is intentional. If you go back into the canon of young female warriors in film, you'll find a case of these same statements, and they're being said with earnestness. So many action films portray emotions, brackets femininity, as the Achilles heel. She only displays two emotions in the film if you can say bland is an emotion. So she's bland, and she has anger from time to time, that's it. Now, if you want to get stereotypical on it, I don't think anger would be put in the femininity bracket, okay? Yes, of course, everybody gets angry, but I think that would be the angry white male category, not the female one. So the fact that her only emotion is anger, and again, because she's basically going to blow stuff up and kill people, so he's like, control your emotions, because, it looks like she can essentially probably annihilate a planet at some point in the end when she's out of control. So, control your emotions because we don't want you to become a mass murderer. That's not really condescending, I don't think. Larson's energy at first is powered by a precocious kid sister vibe, disobeying the rules but charming her way out of trouble. I'm not sure about the charming her way out of trouble. She just bludgeons people. I might have forgotten something in the film. I don't think so. She's just a blunt instrument. Disobeying the rules. There's really just one part where she's with the other soldier people, and I think they're getting pinned down with fire at the start, and they're like, okay, what we're going to do is go around here and do something, and she's like, I'll go out there on my own and I'll do it, and he's like, no, we've got a military plan and we'll all work together. And that was it, and she looked annoyed. Oh, I can't just go out there and do my own thing. So, she's part of the military. She didn't charm her way out of trouble. No, not once. I don't know what the writer means by that. Carol's arc is defined by shredding the bonds to that identity and to her mentor/father figure, which I guess would be Jude Law. Speaking and acting with directness, Larson's quite capable of selling that oscillation of maturity without losing the humour of her character. She may be confident, but she's still crafty and calculatingly playful, and what really sells this film is that playfulness. Yeah, I didn't pick up on any playfulness from her at all, so If someone can see that in the film, I could understand them saying that the film isn't mediocre. Okay, I think the film's mediocre at best. Um, if they think that her character was what this person has written here, then I would say that, yeah, giving it a 60%, I could see that. This person's given it an 89%, and she's really scathing so far. But Captain Marvel absolutely grounds itself in the 90s, even evoking a right girl adjacent feeling, buoyed by a soundtrack that features almost exclusively rock fronted by female voices, a reminder of an era that showed so much promise for brash, loud women. Yeah, I'd say that was fairly true. It's no surprise then that the emotional high point isn't even a battle scene in the film. Remember all the confessions of women weeping at the No Man's Land sequence in Wonder Woman? Instead, it comes when when Carol's best human friend, Maria, I'm not sure who her other best friend is supposed to be, but her best human friend, convinces Carol that she was an invincible warrior even before she got her powers. She doesn't convince her. She says it. Oh, you were invincible before you get the powers. I don't know if it's exactly what she says, but it doesn't convince it. She says the line. The line is stupid, and it's no surprise that this is the emotional high point. I could agree that that was the emotional high point in the film, and it had no emotion in it at all. So I'm not disagreeing that that was the most emotional part, but to just have someone tell you something that is never shown or proven, that was it. They have a little hug. She doesn't cry. I guess that would be showing an emotion. I don't know if she smiles. She just has a hug and she's like, yeah, I'm bland and I know it, and and I could kill you soon as well. So that's the kind of vibe she's given out to everyone. And yeah, I've switched sides to the good guys now, but I could blow you up. Says the optics of a black female character being the best friend who emotionally props up her white hero friend aside, it's still a beautiful connection of sisterhood and strength, and I did cry. Okay, well, trope, females are emotional. What do you want to say with that? You cried in this film. There was absolutely no one crying in the film that I saw. People laughed at points. No one clapped at the end of the film. Everybody stayed for both of the scenes through the credits. There was a lot of talking after the film. Not excited talking, just sort of pass some time talking. But no one cried. The cat got the outburst. The cat was what people liked the most in the audience. Oh, look at the kitty. And the next best thing that got the best reaction was when Brie Larson punches the old lady in the head. I don't think people saw it coming. It was on the trailer, but that got a big response from the crowd as well when she actually goes up and punches the old lady. The article goes on. Also, hooray for Goose the cat, and it would be great if we could ban the phrase, now that's something I'm talking about, when someone does something that's supposed to be cool. I don't remember anyone saying that in the film, but maybe she means a lot of people she's spoken to about the film say that about the cat. That's all she has to say about the cat. Hooray for Goose the cat, so she's not making a big deal about the cat. It's something of a spoiler to explain this, but the Kree are an analogue to Americans in this story. A warfaring people who deeply believe that what they're doing is just, even though they cross the line and others suffer the consequences. They carpet bomb a planet and they go to annihilate the entire Earth at the end. So, okay, if that's you could say the Americans do that in other countries, sure. But I didn't quite get that vibe that they're just trying to say this is an analog to the Americans. But I guess you could go with that. I thought maybe it was more an analog to the Nazis. Although I know a lot of social justice warriors will say that Americans are Nazis, so maybe it's the same thing now. But no, they were running a genocide throughout the galaxy. I think Nazis was a more adept analog in my mind. And it concludes the article with, the metaphor is clear that the US is the bad guys. So in the fictional world where Carol sports red, gold, and blue, inspired directly by a US Air Force t-shirt, there's a certain cognitive dissonance one must participate in not to think about these implications. But there's also a more hopeful way to view this scene. Maybe Carol and Captain Marvel are reclaiming these colours for the purposes of good. Captain Marvel is based on the hopeful outlook of writer Kelly Sue DeConnick's version of Carol, so I choose hope. So I agree with a lot of what she actually said in the article. I don't know how you can say that's 89 out of 100. So a lot of these reviews, from what little I've seen, there's not a lot of lying in them. I think there is exaggeration, but the scores are where I think the problem is. So they're writing down a review, and then I don't know, maybe they don't come up with a number. Maybe that number is just created by the editor. But this isn't an 89 review. The other one read through is not a 90 review. The film is not 90 out of 100. It isn't 90 out of 100. It's just ridiculous to say that it's 90 out of 100. It's not 10 out of 100 either. I think 20 out of 100 is too harsh, and 30 out of 100 I think is too harsh as well. 40 to 60 I think is a fair range of where the film is, and whether you want to say it's a low 40 or a 40 to 60 where you want to be in the range, I don't care. There's some subtleties in where you put a number in, but more than 60, I think you're a liar pushing an agenda that you want the film to succeed because reasons. And under 40, yeah, I think you're being a bit too harsh on the film and seeing it being bad. The film's competent. It's an action film. Stuff blows up. I don't think you can give a film less than 40 unless there's something incompetent. Brie Larson, I've said is emotionless and androgynous, but she's not bad in that. There's no bad acting. I don't go, oh, I didn't believe that. Is that how she said the line? Like as if it was poorly done, like she's reading instead of acting. It just, it was bland though, which maybe it. I mean, when they say she's subtle, then maybe that's what they're going for. But superhero film, subtlety, those two things don't go together, and it's probably why critics of, I don't know what you would say, better films don't like superhero films, because everything's overblown and over the top. So, maybe that's the issue here. You've got an actress and a director trying to not be a superhero level of emotion in a superhero film. So that's my overall take on Captain Marvel. It's neither good nor terrible. You could say it's bad, but I don't think it's terrible. And the reviewers are lying. They are lying. The scores are lying. Their words might not be lying as much, but these reviewers are lying. Again, 90 out of 100. Come on, what have you got over 90? Give me that. I mean, what have you got under 90? I guess that's my real question. This person here said this film's an 89 out of 100. What's she got under 89? I'd like to see her list of films she says is worse than this film. I'm not saying there aren't films worse than this film. I'd just like to see what she thinks is worse than this. Is 89 the worst score she's ever given? If that's what's going on here, that an 89 is equivalent to a 0, then yeah, okay, 89 is a bit of a harsh score. She'd probably deserve like a 95 out of 100. I don't think it's a 0. But 90 out of 100, 80 out of 100, 70 out of 100, no way. This film is not 70 out of 100. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time.